Are we recording? Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone out there. I know it's been a very long time since you have seen this gorgeous face on Facebook Live doing a show. You've mostly been watching me do tarot reads, which is something, whatever. But if you've been watching that, cool. If not, what's up? So tonight I have with me a author and fellow comedian. His name is say
Cyrus.
I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna say Sirius, like Sirius XM Radio. Cyrus McQueen, the author of tweeting truth to power, chronicling our politics crazed times and the great black and white divide. What's up, man? How are you?
Not much, man. I'm feeling good for the most part. New dawn, a new day. Things. The more things change, the more they stay the same. But I'm doing good in this new administration, this new era. It's cold as shit where I'm at, but other than that,
it hasn't even gotten off the ground yet. It hasn't
yeah,
even, he hasn't even been in office for more than a couple of days, and people already.
Where's my vaccine?
Yeah, like
Where's my
my
vaccine?
vaccine? Where's my $1 million? Where's my free?
Where's my $2,000 check? He promised me a $2,000 check.
That $2,000 check, $600, whatever it was, went right out the door. I was like, it's money just slips right through people's hands, and nobody bothers to invest it. But before we get into any of that, hello, Leanne. I think is that your sister or your wife?
It's my wife.
Hello, Leanne and Jennifer. Hello, everybody. I just want to say, just from person to person, and I know you've probably heard this from a million people, I'm so proud of you for writing this book, because normally it would take people like 20 years to write this book. I mean, and you got it out the same time as the governor of New York, which definitely deserves a round of applause, because I mean, if for someone to, write a book about a pandemic that's not even over yet, and he's got his book out there, and you've got this great, like, just, I'm reading this and I was like, wow, like the genius. How, from being a writer, you took the tweets.
Yeah.
Was it easier for you to now write this book because you basically had your material laid out for you?
Well, the genesis of it was, okay, I've been very active on Twitter, very prolific on Twitter.
Yeah.
And people were saying, I really feel like you've got a book in you. And it was inauspicious to a degree. All these people in my, Twitter world were messaging me, some of them actually like DMing me and saying, I really think that you ought to commit to writing a book, because some of the stuff that you say in a 140 character limit is really, salient and resonates with me. So you should maybe think about doing that. And for like a good year, I let that sit on my shoulder and I was ignoring it and didn't want to, because, writing a book, I knew before I started it was going to be a all-consuming task. So I put it off as long as I could. But then I was like, okay, I've got these tweets and I want to expound on them. So what I initially did was like, I would find a few of them that I'd written, and then I would try to write around that. I would try to, embellish, what was going on. But then at some point I kind of just abandoned that and I just started writing. The writing sort of took over itself. And then it got to the point where I amassed almost 700 pages and had to whittle that down. So I had to find a really good editor. And then after the fact, I had to then go back and look for tweets that fit what I wrote. So the book, in ways, like the tweets operated like the skeleton of the book.
Right.
And I use prose to flesh out more in a sort of essay format and go into depth and greater context about, what this moment meant, the historical implications of what was going on, what it triggered in my own life memories, to try to really present a nuanced, multi-layered, multifaceted book.
Right. Yeah. Because anybody with any sort of journalism bug could have been sitting there. I mean, I feel like a lot of people go to video to document things, but video can be subjective because there's a start and stop button, where somebody could start recording at a particular time when an event is happening, as opposed to just standing back and taking out the entire picture of what's going on moment for moment. So when I see a video documenting something that happened, I kind of question it. It's in certain things I question it because there is that start and stop button, and then there's also the motivation behind as to why someone is making. But when you have written material where people are posting this, that's where the name that's attached to it, there's no denying that. There's no, it builds the characters for you. And I just sat back and I watched people make assholes of themselves for the most part on social media, because I'm sitting there and I'm like,
I've done that too. I think I may have done that too once or twice.
Like, just all humanity just flew out of people.
Right.
When when we were going on, when we watched that horrible incident happen with the cops. I mean, I at first was like, I'm not watching that because I'm a humanitarian and I have a soul.
I said the same thing too. I read about this in the book. I let it. My sister Amber sent it to me, and she's usually the one to break these sorts of events when the cops, dispatch an unarmed Black man. So she's been doing it for years, and I refer to them as Amber Alerts. And no matter how you slice it, they're never good.
No.
And so I didn't watch the video myself. Like, there's a lot of the news that I didn't want to comment on. Like, I avoided as long as I could. But then, you see it enough on the news, and eventually it seeps in. And the larger point is, we are here to bear witness. We're living through tumultuous times. We're living through times that are unprecedented. I call it the greatest crucible of our lifetimes.
Yeah.
And I think at some point our children, our grandchildren will ask us, what was it like? We were living through history right now. So I needed to find a way to disseminate information in a more lasting, way. And so that's why I decided to write more. And I felt like these moments, whether it be the George Floyd protest or certainly coronavirus and, lockdown, not being able to perform, to what it was like when I was performing and having to deal with hecklers and Trump supporters, and just the way the world was turned upside down in so many ways. To document that, I feel like I was living through this moment for a reason. This moment is of consequence, and I could not continue to make light of certain things. So that's why I tried to blend the comedy with a little bit more levity, a little bit more, clarity as opposed to levity.
Speaking of performing, Mr. Dave Lester's watching and Mike Favor's watching, two very, very great, good comics.
I love Dave Lester.
I love Dave Lester too. I can't go anywhere. I can't go anywhere without, I know Dave. Like, I can't, Mike Favor said he still hasn't watched the George Floyd video. You know what, Mike? Do yourself a favor. Don't watch it. It was probably, I did watch the whole video because I wanted to see what happened. And I was like, you're touching his ankle. You keep touching it. There's pulse in the ankle. You didn't realize that there wasn't one at some point, and then you just, and to me, it was the most sickening and most horrific thing that I had ever seen. And what I thought was going to happen is that people's eyes were going to open up to this type of thing, but people took a step back and they said, well, you shouldn't have done this and you shouldn't have done that. And I agree. There's certain things that shouldn't have happened, but this is a human being regardless.
I think that the video opened a lot more eyes than I thought it would. Like I said, being Black in America is the worst horror franchise of all time. We've watched Black men being murdered for centuries, and certainly for the last 40 years, since camcorders captured like Rodney King's beating, it's really just the manner in which our horrors are documented that has changed, not the horrors themselves.
Exactly.
But my mind was going, because a lot of white folks who I've known and worked with over the years, people I hadn't even heard from in years, were contacting me because that video penetrated them in ways that other televised, killings haven't. And I think that, I write about this in depth in the book. I feel like a lot of people's indifference, their intransigence they were faced with their own sort of apathy in that moment. And it was conveyed to chilling effect through that officer's grimace. And the way he just sort of nonchalantly turned over the hourglass in George Floyd's life, just seeped out of him within 9 minutes.
Right. And then now it's kind of, no one talks about it.
Like they say, an image is worth 1,000 words. So the pause that knocked into people, I mean, we are blessed to be living in a technological age where the ubiquitousness of these crimes are matched by the ubiquitousness of the devices and the camera phones to document them.
Right.
Otherwise, this would have just been another day in
another picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been something. I would not personally, I would not have been able to have stood there and watched that if I had been there. I definitely would have done something to at least stop that, which I understand why people wouldn't.
Right.
But listen, I could throw a rock pretty far. I mean, I as a person, I would never be able to stand by and watch someone get hurt like that. It just it killed. I just and it was sad was because there were people that tried, and I know that when people watch things on TV and you watch, I mean, we are a society of people. I mean, look at the children are playing Fortnite. The kids are obsessed with that. We have a society where we are bloodlust. We are obsessed.
We're desensitized to violence in our society.
Exactly.
Cultivated at an early age. Yeah.
Right.
Or beyond that, the Floyd vision, because Black Americans have never sustained a healthy place in the American consciousness. Right. Our deaths, our cries fall on deaf ears. So it was very, I was amazed that George Floyd's cries reached more ears than I thought that they could have in our society. I think we've been wholly desensitized to violence, and certainly to Black suffering. Right. And that was like a visceral example of Black suffering broadcast for the world to see. And it resonated, thankfully, to enough people.
Right, definitely.
But we've got much farther to go, obviously.
So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about comedy. Because, there's definitely, I mean, right after that, we were still doing shows. I'm a comedy producer. So I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to make my own little show on Zoom. I have another show in bed with comics that I started doing and started pulling, because it was depressing to not be able to do shows. We literally went from doing shows every single weekend to now being told that comedy is illegal and you can't do anything. And, I was finding loopholes to try to do shows, like singing's allowed. Okay, so now you guys are going to sing your sets. So we did that. And then, the Zoom comedy shows, which everybody was against at first. And I was like, well, guess what? The comedy clubs are not going to open for a while. So you better get used to it. And now it's turned into like a rat race of who could call the authorities first to rat out this person, and do all this craziness. But have you been performing at all?
I've been writing.
Yeah, well.
I've basically been moving heaven and earth, and this has been an all-consuming experience to do it justice. Like I say, like when the muses speak to you, you gotta put everything down and pick up your instrument. So whether it's a chisel and a rock or a paintbrush, or for me, it was a pen and a laptop. I had to cancel everything out and give this justice. So I
don't blame you.
I gave every ounce of my spirit, soul, you name it, to it because it required it. So I've just basically been doing that. And as the world broke down in front of me, I was like, well, now you really don't have any excuse for not finishing this book, because I'd already started it. It's about a 2-year process.
Oh wow!
I started in summer of 2018, and I finished in August of 2020. And so a lot of this year, I actually was able to write about COVID, write about the impeachment, the first impeachment, now we're on impeachment number 2, and just write about the protests that were bubbling up in Brooklyn and around the world. And this invidious moment, I was able to like live it and document it. And so in that way, what I've done on Twitter is kind of great because I get to timestamp everything. So here you have my reaction to this moment. Has it happened in real time? And you've got, the retweets or the likes to corroborate its veracity. And then I write around it. And it's like, what does this moment mean? What's the deeper meaning to what's going on and what we lived through?
That's really amazing. That's really amazing. Like as a writer myself, I never thought to do it like that, but you really kind of set precedents for writing that way. If somebody wanted to pick a topic and kind of follow it throughout and then write a book based off of it, because there's a lot of things that go on in the world that you could do. I mean, back in the olden days, we'd have to go to the library, we'd have to do a ton of research, we'd have to hope that somebody would send us some information. But now you can literally format a story based off of what you say. Oh, here's a topic and I'm going to tweet this and wait to see what this person responds. You could kind of not to say that you did, but I'm just saying you could manipulate how the flow of the conversation or what the outcome's going to be and piece it together however you want. The only thing that I'm sure that you probably can't do is put someone else's tweet. You didn't have to worry about anything like that.
No, I used my own. I had plenty of tweets of my own to pull from.
Yeah.
That became its own sort of, laborious task, was just sifting through thousands and thousands of tweets, things I'd forgotten I said, some things I couldn't believe I said. So I found myself deleting shit that I
Right. You're
did
like,
like
oh, I didn't mean to
4 years
say
ago. I was
that.
like, that must have been late at night after a couple drinks. But no, because I went back and forth with a lot of Trump supporters. Like, I call it the social media trenches. Like these last 4 years were not for the meek. And I know I haven't really been on Facebook as much, but I'm sure that there's been a lot of back and forth. More so, I think you get it in Twitter, because Facebook is more people you know, or people who know people you know. Whereas Twitter, it's just the wild, wild west. So you get all sorts of bigots and emboldened bigots, I call them, coming at you and
It has to
DMing
be your
you.
neighbor.
Yeah, and they're calling you the N word, and they're calling you this. And so I've had the last 4 years, I've gone. And so I've documented that as well in the book. A lot of these vicious back and forths, because one thing that the Trump presidency did was it emboldened a lot of fringe foolishness. People who felt safe with the comfort that social media provides, that distance between you. They feel comfortable to, call you a nigga, go to another country, just all of it. And so, I say I'm not a Black Panther or, a freedom rider suffering, slings and arrows in that regard, but I have been burned by that, age-old American pejorative in 2020, 2019, 2021. So,
right. And I'm glad that this, because like the article said, like the whitewashed version that would come out later.
Well, it's going to come out.
Of course, it's going to come out.
They stormed the Capitol 2 weeks ago, and all these people who were basically in there saying, "Oh, it wasn't that bad. We can't do anything about that now. Let's not hold Trump accountable." It's like, but they were coming for you. They're like, they know who's a Democrat or Republican when the smoke is in the, you know what I mean? Like they were coming 2 weeks ago, and now you're trying to say,
there's going to be a movie about this. I know there's going to be a movie about it. I'm sure, and it's almost laughable, like when people feel. But there was one point in your book about where you had said that everybody was kind of getting along, and we had Obama for 8 years, and it was not. I mean, people were more sensitive. Mm-hmm. I felt that people were just kind of had to bite their tongue. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as Trump came into office, it was like, all right, we're just going to release this plethora of just pent up hatred that we've had for 8 years over the fact that there was a Black man in the White House.
Well, that's the reason I started the book that way. And I kind of bring it full circle towards the end. Black advancement was so scary to Trump and his ilk that it bred the MAGA movement. So what you saw in 2016 and then what you saw 3 weeks ago was a profound recoil to Black advancement in this country. Yeah. Because a record number of Black people voted for Obama in 2012 and 2008, and we had the outcome of a wonderful Obama presidency. We got the recoil, which was the Trump presidency. And then when they tried to steal the election 3 weeks ago, because a record number of Black people showed up to vote in Atlanta and Philadelphia and Detroit, we got, this maelstrom that descended on the Capitol. So it's all profound recoil to Black advancement and Black participation in the political process in our country. And it's, it's manifested over the years from, poll taxes and all sorts of, measures to suppress the vote in the South and in the North as well, to what we saw 3 weeks ago and what we're going to continue to see. Because, by no means, I know we've got Warnock, we've got Ossoff in Georgia. I mean, this is a tug of war that is going to commence for, the rest of our lives, as far as I'm concerned. So one thing that we can learn from Obama, where we kind of rested on our laurels and like, okay, we got ours now. It's like, well, no, the empire strikes back. The empire always strikes back.
Exactly. And so there's always going to be that. But
yeah. So we can't rest. We can't rest.
Right. But we still have strong Black leaders. Mm. The White House is one thing, but within our own society, we still have strong people of color, not just Black people, other people of color too, and other, just anybody who wants to step up and do things differently and have a different attitude and take different approaches.
Well, that's one of the things that's so beautiful about what we're doing now, like what we can enjoy now, the platform that you have, the platform that I have. It's like we are living in a technological age where you don't need gatekeepers. It's like I can talk shit or say what I want to say. I can speak truth to power. I can tweet truth to power, and it's going to ricochet around the globe, and nobody's going to stop me.
Well,
So
you're number one on Amazon, so.
yeah. We've got a bigger coalition than we ever had, because you got the idiots who are using social media to disinform and to misinform, but you've also got righteous, progressive people who are using this channel and using this platform to spread truth and to educate and to organize in ways that you never could decades before.
Yeah, never. I mean, who would have ever thought, that what we're doing now, I never would have thought. Right before the pandemic, with comedy shows, because there's always a problem getting people to come to shows. And I said, well, we're not really using the technology as we should be. Facebook has their Facebook lives, and they have where you could go live in a group. Why are we going live at a comedy show and people can buy tickets and watch from home? If they can't go, they can't get a babysitter, they're sick, whatever, pay whatever amount of money and watch from home. And everyone's like, oh, that's ridiculous. Well, look what happened. Look what happened. Now everybody uses Zoom for anything. I could talk to anybody around the world. I did a show for a guy in Israel. Yeah, I had to get up at like whatever time in the morning to go. Hey, listen, I got to perform in front of people in Israel. I mean, I got to perform in front of, let's see, I think it was 100 or 200 people. It was like an annual Al-Anon meeting that they would have had in like a convention place in Arizona. But they couldn't do it, so they needed comedians. I have never in my wildest dreams ever thought that I would perform in front of that many people. And all I saw was 10 people. And then later on, they were like, do you know that you performed in front of 200 people? And I was like, where's my paycheck? Like,
now that you bring it up,
I didn't know that. Can I get it? But I mean, I did get paid for that show, which was nice. But,
no, but that's what I said. I'd say the book, like I tell a joke on Twitter or whatever, and I'm making somebody laugh in Australia. And so I've never performed in Australia, but like in a way I kind of have, and we kind of we benefit from these new modes of communication.
They love us, other countries. They love us. I mean, not only are they laughing, I mean, I performed with people in Canada too. Not only are they laughing at America, like, I mean, they must sit there and watch this. Like, it's like, I feel like American news to other countries is like their version of ID Discovery. Like, that's what I think, that they sit back and they watch that. And they're like,
It's like the Daily Show for them. Like our CNN is essentially the Daily Show for them.
Daily Show for them. Yeah, I mean, it's like, really, they're just.
Are they laughing at us? I think they're laughing at us.
Yeah, they definitely are laughing, but they would not want us over there. And then if we went over there, we'd be like, well, that's not really how you say that, but okay. Oh my God. But all right, so tell me about Last Comic Standing, because I feel like there's a lot of comedians out there that would be like, that is like the dream to be on something like that. I would have crapped my pants. How did you pull that off?
That was you're asking me, this is BC, right? We're going before COVID. So like, time has been sliced in half. Let me think back to that long ago time when the world wasn't broken. And people could actually gather together in a room.
Yeah, there was no mask, and people could actually throw up in public without being shot in the back of the head.
Oh my God! It honestly, like I'm sitting there. I try not to think about it too much because it will make me even sadder. You think about like I'm in a soundstage in Hollywood with like 1,000 people. So like now like I can't even be next to one person.
Right.
But it was surreal, man. It was a fantastic experience. It was nerve-wracking as hell. I wish, knowing what I know now, then I wish I knew now. I wish I knew then what I know now, in terms of like just the stress that everybody involved in it, whether they, spoke to it or not, everybody was just really, really stressed because the stakes were so high. Yeah. You're trying to impress, Keenan Ivory Wayans, and you're on the soundstage, you're apart from everything, you're like living at a hotel, you're going over your jokes. Like I was basically like doing my Rocky thing. I was on the treadmill in the gym at the hotel trying to go over my set while I'm running, just to get, like, it's stupid shit. You know what I mean?
It, yeah.
Yeah, but you're like, I got this training montage in my head. I gotta be, whatever. But it was a wonderful experience, all in all. I spent such really, really great performers. You're like guys who are journeymen, who were just been doing their thing for like 20 years, like way longer than you. I think I was only 5 years in at that point when I got Last Comic Standing. And so I was shoulder to shoulder with some really, really just monsters. These guys were just like, Ian Bagg is one. He was incredible. Oh, yeah. He's one of my favorites, guy out of California. But yeah, everybody was just like the camaraderie of the room is what I remember more than anything, because they had us sitting for hours. You know, television, you get there at like 4 in the afternoon and you're there until like 1 in the
3 in
morning.
the morning, yeah.
They gotta film it and then they gotta wait and do all the different angles or whatever. So just us being back there, it was just funny. It's just the way we fuck with each other. We get comics together, we're just gonna fuck with each other. So I remember that.
Yeah, that's what makes it. I missed that. Did you ever perform at Governor's?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I miss being like in.
My man John Truson. Oh, I miss him.
John Truson, he's still around somewhere, James.
Well, I know everything's closed down, so it's like I'm wondering how. That's the other thing that I don't try to think about too much, because it's going to make me sad, because we already see like certain rooms have closed, and I'm wondering like how are some of these places going to bounce back, if at all, when all is said and done. You know what I mean? Because I wonder, we may be dinosaurs in that regard. Like we can tell what it was like before COVID, what comedy was like before COVID, and it might be a completely different ball game with limited capacity for who knows. I try not to think about it because it gets me sad. But
Governor's, I do see James often. He runs things over there at Governor's. He goes.
Wait, are they back open? Are they doing shows?
They're doing shows virtually.
Okay.
So I guess if you wanted to, give a shot to something, you could go there. You're there. You're doing the show virtually. There's Zoom. And then whoever wants to buy a ticket can watch, which I think everybody now, because it's been almost a year later, has been conditioned to do it this way now. It still feels great to have an audience. There are some live shows going on, but you have to keep to a capacity, and it's mostly in a place that doesn't have a liquor license. This way they really, can't come in and shut you down. Right. But I see, that there are some shows going on, but people are still afraid to come out. Right. So, you have to get used to not getting that response from the crowd. I haven't seen Governor set up.
I haven't experienced that yet. I think that would mess me up a little bit, just to not.
But you have to give it a shot for. Listen, if Tony Robbins can do it in front of by himself in his house with a huge screen of people, you can do it. Tony Robbins, just have a whole free.
The power within.
The power within.
Yeah, he's gotta unleash the power within.
Yes. And listen, Tony is amazing. I love him. But he was literally living, you got to see his palace that he lives in. He lives in a palace. Okay. Tony Robbins lives in a palace somewhere. There was gold everywhere. And he deserves every penny, because he's not like some guy that just walked out of the bank and just said, I'm going to teach people how to empower. He's actually doing good things. But he had this huge screen with thousands of people just watching. And, it was a free event. And then I guess, they go into more of the paid stuff. So you could definitely do it. It's really not as hard as you think, especially for somebody like you who does impressions. I was laughing so hard because I could actually imagine this Obama impression. I see it and I can hear it in my head and I'm like, oh my God. Did you ever meet him?
No, he's on my bucket list. I would love to meet him and hang out. Yo, that's my man. President Obama, that's my man. Love him. All right now.
8 years imitating someone and you've never met him.
I've never met him. I've never had the luxury. I've never met Sam Jackson. All these people that thank God they put money in my pocket. But I've never met Obama, Sam Jackson, Morgan Freeman, none of them. Hopefully one day I can. To think how much they mean to me on an artistic level, but also on a monetary level, because they put some money in a nigga's pocket.
Exactly. Because it's, listen, it's funny and it was very timely. And you're just so blessed with timing. I wish I could be you, and just everything just comes. It's like, oh, I've already been doing this. And now, oh my God, I know it takes hard work and, it definitely.
What you do is you annoy the people you live with. That's the biggest thing nobody talks about. You annoy the shit out of people you live with, whether they got to listen to you practice or whether you're writing a book and you just need quiet time and just don't speak to me.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Room in the middle of the night to type a thought into your phone.
I'm constantly in don't speak to me mode because I'm always writing. I'm always doing something. Like right now, I'm working on a very big project that the Lord was just like, this is what you're going to do. Like one of those things where it's like, all right, I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to work. I can't go out. I can't talk to anybody. I can't see nobody. I don't even want to know that you're on this planet. Leave me alone. that type of project. Like
That was, dude, sister, how preach.
yeah,
I know exactly what you
need
mean.
those
Like
moments.
writing, and when the music talks to you, it's like it's literally the focus that it demands of you. So I'm talking about, like, for me, it was like 2 years of intense focus, day in, day out. Like, this consumed me. There were no off days. I'm waiting to go do a show, and I'm writing a thought in my phone, so it consumed every fucking piece of me.
It just came, and like, but I've been, and that's the beauty of it, because the material's there. Like, even now, what I'm working on, it's like, yeah, but you already did this. Now you just need to put it together. And
Mm-hmm.
it just flies out. And it's like, okay. And then you think to yourself, is it this easy? Is it this easy? Like, I already have everything I need right here. And I just need to, was there a process in your writing where you're like getting like really excited? Like, wow, this is easy for me. I don't have to like go dig somewhere or like just make things up or research or interview people. It's just right in front of my face. You did.
No, for me, yeah, it was like a lot of it was just like, it was like inspiration would come to me. Like I said, like sometimes a whole passage would come to me, and like I'm like, oh my god, I gotta just write that out right now, and then it would sit there, and then the chore became like I had all these like my notes on my phone. I had like probably the equivalent of like 40 pages if they were all typed out of just random notes and thoughts. So like, okay, that would be good for this chapter, and then having to go back and like piece it and put it in the right place for it to all make sense. Right. And a lot of stuff I just discarded. Like literally, I wrote like at one point I was north of 700 pages, and the editor was like, "All right, you need to like we need to chop some stuff." And so now the book is 422 pages, but at one point I basically wrote 5 books because I just like was so angry.
And right, part 2. Your wife said, "Yup." She said, "Yup." I guess that was a response to you just annoy the people that you live with. So she was like, "Yup."
It is what it is.
Yes, listen, when you live with a creative person, you just never really know what you're gonna come home to. You could either be in a hole in the corner somewhere writing and do what you got to do, or you're just completely like,
the highs are highs and the lows are lows.
Yep, that's how it is. It's always like that. So, do you have a favorite place that you like to perform comedy in?
A room with people laughing.
Yeah.
At this point, I beg it's can't be choose. I'll take anything. A room with people laughing. A sold out show. No, to be honest, like the last comic standing experience was fantastic. Getting a room of that volume, like that densely packed with that many people, just laughing their asses off was great. But for me, it's like the rooms that are a little bit smaller, more intimate, and they're still packed. Like I remember doing, like Dave Les was watching, he did a show called Moe's in Fort Greene. And when you have people packed in there, folks are sweating, it's coming off the walls, but you basically can get the laughter bouncing off the walls. Like there's nothing better than that, when you can actually feel enclosed and the laughter is like bouncing off the walls. So I love that feeling. I really, really do. So you get that at like, I guess you get it at Stand Up New York. I remember West Side, which is open. You got it. You got it there. Broadway, you could get it there. But like those little smaller rooms, when they're packed and they're picking up what you're putting down, and it just that to me is the best. That's
why I like the little room. I did perform one time on the main stage at Governor's, and I loved it because there was a lot of people. And I love it when there's like a lot of space and there's like, there's a lot of people in the room, because at least you'll know at least 20 of them will laugh. But if there's like 3 people in the room, which can happen, you're like, all right, I got 1 out of 3 shot to make this person laugh.
Yeah, but those are rewarding as hell, because I've had shows with one person. I did a show in Brooklyn at Crown Heights. There was one dude, and he was like an Australian like backpacker dude, and he was dying. I killed Jerry. I killed, and we had drinks after. He's like, I got to get you a drink, man. I got to get you a drink, and I was like, damn, this is like, I don't know if I'll ever perform or be willing to perform for one person ever again, but like I did it. I could say I did. So I've done 1,000 people. I've done one person. And they were equally as rewarding. When you're entertaining somebody, when they like leave better and you're responsible for them leaving feeling better, then,
Yeah, because you really have to love it. I mean, I think, a lot of comics that have persevered through this, really realized how much they love comedy when they're. I mean, the first time I went to a Dave Lester show was in it was in Brooklyn, and it was in like the back like community area of a building, and it was pouring rain, and there was tents, and people were just chilling, drinking. Dave's cooking like the most amazing food ever. And, like we were just all hanging out. I'm like, if this was on Long Island, there would be a bunch of Karens underneath that tent. Like, I'm going home. But everyone was just chilling, hanging out, drinking, smoking, doing whatever. I met did you ever meet Sandra Daniels?
Yeah.
Joanna Briley. I met Joanna Briley that night, and I met Sandra Daniels that night. It was like the best thing, and you know, we actually became friends.
Yeah, Brooklyn shows, I mean, are their own
totally different.
Their own thing. I mean, I love, you know, Governors, Brokerage, whatever, but like, or like, you know, Stand Up New York, whatever. Like Brooklyn shows, just like unofficial, no comedy club. Like we're talking like bars in the back of a bar or a basement of a bar. Like those are the best shows in my humble estimation.
Yeah.
Because folks are just looser, you know what I mean? They ain't paid some crazy ass cover charge. There's no guy bringing his date there trying to impress. I mean, it's like you got real people who are just like, I worked all day and I'm coming to see a show, and you know, you just get a real audience. You know, there's better audiences in my estimation. Brooklyn, better audiences.
So let's make some Trump jokes because I thought of a really good one. The reason why Trump had to fly all the time was because they couldn't use a limo because it would be a dead giveaway which car he was in, because there would be a sign that would say baby on board. That was your turn.
I like it. I like it. For Trump, what I said, for somebody who kept black people out of his buildings, it's kind of ironic that Obama gets to rent space in his head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wait, what did you call him? You said he looked like a. Oh my! I think you said he looked like a melting
popsicle. A melting creamsicle.
A melting creamsicle.
He does with his bronzer, and it's just like it's his baggy Brioni suit. I also call him a copper Caligula.
Yeah, and I think that when I was reading this book, like, I'm not a stupid person, but my vocabulary is not huge, and I was literally having to look up some of the words, and I looked up one word, and it simply meant crusty old man. And I was like,
dude, I pulled every word possible to describe that fucking fool. You know, I ran out of words, and like I said, I feel like at the end, I feel like I may have even understated his repulsiveness. You know, for as much as I wrote, I think as awful as he was, as cruel, as irredeemable a person, I think that I understated his odiousness. I really
a melting creamsicle. I was literally sitting at my job, and I was laughing my ass off so hard when I read that. I said, you know, there couldn't be anything further from the truth. That it was just, and it's like, do you have anyone helping you, like, with your appearance? Like, do you have anybody? And I'm just waiting for, I mean, as speaking of people that help him, I'm waiting for the person that is going to be thrown under the bus. I didn't write any of those tweets. Somebody else did it. I'm waiting. That's going to be a movie. I'm waiting.
Dude, it's a slippery slope of stupid. And like, he don't hesitate to throw, even his boy Giuliani, like anybody, he's just like,
exactly.
He just runs over every single person. He's irredeemable.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
But we survived.
We did survive. I'm still here.
It could have been worse. And then believe me, we know it could have really gotten a lot worse. But I think he's so simple. He's so basic that we are fortunate that he's not more sophisticated. If he really were diabolical and like had like a bit more intellectual heft to him, we would be in deep shit. But he just was like, he loved his own reflection. He was somebody who was deluded into thinking that everything he did was great. You know, he sprayed orange spray tan, like, hello. And there's not like, right. But he convinced himself that he was the shit. And what I feel that really sickens me is that so many people were convinced that he was too. Like, that's what I understand. Like, this is your guy. Like, those in middle America, like they hitched their wagon to that star. That was the most disconcerting thing. Like, that he's your guy. Right. He's not Obama. He's not like one of the great orators in American history. He's Donald Basic Trump, and right. That was their guy.
Because they don't dream, those types of people don't dream big. They would rather attach if you notice people who they follow train wrecks. People follow train wrecks because they can identify with it. Most people can't necessarily identify with some, I mean, that's why we have fantasy and that's why we have real life. You know, most people will flock to go see an X-Men movie because they wish that they had those types of superpowers.
Right.
But
You make a really good point. You make a really, that's a really, really strong point. You're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Because people don't think that they could use parts of their brains that could elevate them. Most people don't know how to be leaders. It's not just one person that's a leader. It's not. It's a whole collective of people that have to use their brains to be leaders. Most people would prefer to follow. We're just going to have one person. He's going to tell us what to do. He's God. He's going to, right. But that's the example that we've been given our entire lives. There's one God. This is who you follow. This is what you do. But there's always going to be an argument about that. But most people don't have the brain capacity. And I'm not calling anyone stupid, but most people don't have the brain capacity to think outside themselves, to think and say, okay, because in reality, yes, we do have a president of the United States. We do have people that rule over us. But in our reality, really, when you look at it, we are our own president. We are our own God. We are our own planet. We are our own leaders. If I go out right now and take the garbage out to the curb, does President Trump give a shit about that? No. The only one that cares about that is the garbage man, right?
Right.
Who cares? But people don't look at it that way. They look at there's someone else in charge. People just give up. There's someone else in charge. But there's not.
So, and you get the worst person possible in charge. It's like, God. But we made it. We made it.
I mean, it was easier for people. Okay, but you also have to think back. Now, I was born in the 80s. Okay. Somewhere around 1988, 1989, I believe, we were living in New Jersey, in Trump's paradise, basically. Trump was what people aspired to be because he was very wealthy. He owned businesses. You know, he owned buildings. He was like Daddy Warbucks. A lot of people aspired to be like Trump Plaza with the casinos, with everything like that. So they weren't just looking at him as being Trump, the guy that was running for president or the host of The Apprentice. They were also looking at him as, this is Daddy Trump, who I grew up as a kid admiring, becoming the president of the United States.
Right. He's like the poor man's version of a rich guy.
Right.
And it's like, you know, most of the people I've known who really have money, like they don't flaunt it. And he's got many of the characteristics of the nouveau riche in that regard, but he's very much the poor man's idea, like the quintessence of a rich guy, like a Monopoly board game, Donald Trump, like he lived up that brand. He lived up that character to a T. And it just became so arresting that people, like, they couldn't delineate the reality from, this is a really poorly handled, poorly educated man, a man who just really does not interest himself in bettering his intellect or those around him ultimately. And if you look, it's so funny, you like, I was talking to different people, New York City and New Jersey are littered with people who came in on the wrong end of a business deal with this guy. You know, whether they were like working in his buildings or his casinos, they were the vendors, and like he was just blowing people's livelihoods away for decades. And I don't understand how somebody who was so callous to the working man, the working class, could become the champion of the working class. It's still, I wrote 400 something pages on it, but it's still something that I fully can't wrap my head around.
Right, like my friend Teresa, another comment. Hi, Sandra, we were just shouting you out before. Hello. My friend Teresa said he used 200 Poland immigrants, workers, to build Trump Tower and never paid them. That's a fact.
Yes. That's one of the stories. Yeah.
That's a fact. You know, I totally forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, but at the end of the day, he's a human being. He may not be the best human being, so I wish him good luck in whatever he's going to do next. Hopefully it's not anything destructive.
It will be.
I'm
well,
sure
I don't want, it's like I said, I know we've lived through the Trump horror movie, but one thing we've learned about monsters is, there's always going to be a sequel. So
I'm waiting for him.
I'm worried about the shitty sequel with his kids down
Right.
the road.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that.
I'm waiting for him to buy his own state. Like if he can prove, this is the prediction, because I'm a psychic medium. I'm just gonna give everyone a thing.
Mm.
Trump is going to find the one state that voted for him. Every person that voted for him, he's going to buy said state, and he's going to separate that state from the United States. They're going to declare their independence. Okay. There's going to be another 4th of July, and President Trump is going to be the president of that specific state. That's going to happen. I believe that state is going to be Florida.
It might be Florida. You know what? It might be Florida. I think you might be onto something.
I'm telling you.
Mar-a-Lago is going to become a sovereign nation.
Yep. And that's
Fort Lauderdale, you might be onto something.
I am telling you that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's laughable, but you also have to remember that Kim Kardashian has more money than President Trump. Kim Kardashian walked into the White House and had a woman set free from jail as if it was nothing. So that's like I said, let's not forget who the real presidents are here. There are other people out there. So I mean, there is some person out there who created some sort of an app or some other thing that has billions and billions of dollars. Those are the people who run this country, not the president. I'm sorry. It's laughable. To me, it's laughable because it's like we are our own leaders in our own individual ways.
Okay, so I got to say something because you hinted at it. So you are a psychic medium.
I am, yes. This is my tarot reading table. I don't know if you could see it, but I'm sitting in front of my tarot reading table. Tarot cards are basically my answering machine, to all of my gifts. That's why I said, I got like 50 decks back here. That's why I said, people don't think that they could use other parts of their mind. But when you learn and you can actually do that, you'd be very surprised at what is in there. There's codes to the universe. When you look at numerology and astrology, people have a life path number. There's numbers and words. There's synchronicities. It gets really crazy. It gets very.
I'm intrigued. You've got me. I just finished watching this the Netflix series Surviving Death, and like
welcome to my world.
it bowled me over. Just like some of the testimonials from people. Like, you are really this close to another dimension. Like you realize like we are like side to side, like with another dimension.
It's happening. It's actually happening right in front of your face and you don't know it.
Well, can I share a story then? Because you're a medium and I want to tell you something because like, okay.
Go for it.
Like the Trump stuff, but like this is like true because like today is the anniversary of my father's passing. So
that is very weird that I reached out to you
26 years ago, and I had a crazy experience. I wrote about this on Twitter the other day. About 6 years ago, I was at the gym, and I worked out, and I went down into the locker room, and I was going to jump in the shower. My locker was way in the back, so I walked by every single locker in there before I get to mine, and nobody was in there. Okay, I had to go to work, so I took a really, really quick shower. I come out. When I come out, I get this overwhelming smell of something that reminds me of my father. At the moment, I couldn't put my finger on it, but this overwhelming smell, it took over the locker room and nobody is in there. And then finally, these two older black men come in and go, "Oh, wait, you know what that is? That's that magic shave. You remember that? Oh man, I know that smell anywhere." And then it clicked. My father used to use that to shave. That's what made me trigger him. And I was like, oh my God, but literally nobody was down there. Nobody was using it. It was just me and these two older black men who smelled it and corroborated what I was smelling. And then it hit me that it was the 20th anniversary of his passing. And I'm not clairvoyant. I don't, know much about this, but as I was leaving, I made sure I double checked to make sure there was nobody else down there because it's a process. It's a debulatory. So you have to like put it on and all this stuff because older black men with razor bumps, like you have to use it to get the hair off. But it's a whole like 15-minute process. And so I got down there was nobody there. I didn't smell it. I get out the shower. Still, nobody there, but I smell it. So nobody was there. And I was like, wait, this is the 20th anniversary of his passing away. Yeah. And it just completely freaked me out. And this was
that's how, smell has memory. It can invoke memory. So believe it or not, that smell is stored in your brain. So when you consciously or subconsciously thought about it, you definitely have it on your mind. Like my dad's passing, I can think about it or not think about it. But your memory is going to make you smell that. But just that other people smelt it also, that
Yeah.
was your dad telling you, hi, I'm here. Just like there's not a coincidence that as soon as you messaged me for a reason about your book.
Mm.
And then I was like, oh, let me get him on my show and then I was so very well compelled to tell you, because I'm in the beginning, remember I told you, I said, even though you've probably heard this, from other, I'm very proud of you for writing this, and I am, but that message was from your dad. Now I
Thank
know
you.
why. I'm
Yeah.
very compelled to say that. And what is the name Teddy? I don't know why I'm hearing that.
Teddy. Well, my father's brother was Eddie. My father's brother.
Okay, so Eddie, Teddy. Did he pass away also?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he says hello too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Oh. Do you have a grandmother that passed away? Very short. Not so short, but do you kind of resemble your grandmother a little bit?
I'm not sure because she died when I was like 3 years old. So we don't have many pictures. But my father's mother, now she passed when I was 3.
Right. Was she
Yeah.
from the South Carolina? Who was from the South?
Right. Oh yeah, we all came from the South. My
Yeah,
great
they're from
grandmother,
right.
they were from down there. Yeah, but my family originally slavery. We were in South
Right.
Carolina,
Yeah.
North
Okay.
Carolina.
Yeah, from the South. Okay. Yeah. She's here. She's dancing and laughing. She's just going crazy. Just she wants to like say hello. And now I know why. It's because she's never met you. That's very funny. All right, so Eddie, because I kept hearing, because sometimes it's if I could explain it to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that some of the psychic mediums on that explained it very well. There was one psychic on there very, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, but I don't know if you remember the one I'm talking about. She just spoke like it was nothing, but you don't actually hear anything. It's just like a thought that comes and it has to come out.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It has to come out. You can't stop it from coming out.
Mm.
Nothing's a coincidence. I'll have people hit me up that I haven't heard from in years. And I'm like, why are they hitting me up? Sure enough, someone died. Has to have a message come across. But Eddie, okay. So that's your dad's.
That's wonderful that you've got that gift. Like you just like, most comics are just like, I just tell jokes. But it's like,
Nope.
no, I actually have like, I have got all this other stuff going on. It's like, okay.
And I actually turned it into, I said, you know what? Because I got tired of hiding it. Because it comes out. And I started.
So ever since you were like a kid, like a little girl, like you had that?
I would say that it did start when I was a kid, but when you're a kid, you can't discern. The first time I ever saw a ghost was when I was a kid. But you can't really, you don't know if you're just scared or if you're sensing something around you.
Interesting.
So I would say that it mainly started probably when I was 15 when I was about 16, 17 years old is when I started hearing like a radio in my head. I noticed a big change, and it was right after I had died. I went for a procedure, and I was dead for like 5 minutes. Wow. And then after that is when things started to change. But that's also when I started smoking a lot of pot. And when you smoke marijuana, it dulls it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing it all the time, and there's a lot of other mediums and psychics that I met that said that, that have always had alcohol problems or drug problems, because when you have this, it takes a lot of energy out of you. So, and the tarot cards, I never thought to use tarot cards. They've always been in my life. They've always been around, but the tarot cards actually help me to channel the messages, and they hold on to it. So that this way, when, because I already know when people come to me for reads, I already know what they're going to ask me. Most of the time I do. And it's just easier for me to be able to talk to people because there's a filter, so the tarot cards have been a real blessing for me. I never thought to use them. But it's been a lot of fun. I have my own YouTube channel. I do all kinds of juicy reads and stuff like that. And there for people, but you got some good cards, you got the Hanged Man, in reverse, which means you've made your decision and you've moved yourself towards victory here. 6 of Wands. Strength card, Leo energy. Are you a Leo?
Virgo. I should have been a Leo, but I'm a Virgo.
See, you should have been a Leo. And then we got the world card. Look at that. Completion. This is your entire story. The cards are telling you because they're listening. The entire story of what it was. The Hanged Man, looking at things from a different perspective. We got the Six of Wands, the Victory card. We got the Strength, the Leo energy. And we got the world card here. It's good. Yeah, good cards.
Thank you, sis.
You guys you really, I mean, for your dad to really come, I mean, this was not a coincidence. It was not, and you were definitely compelled to tell me your dad had died. I probably would have picked up on it eventually, but yeah, you're good. Now you're on to your next adventure.
Nice.
Two of Wands, your next adventure here. Looking out, the young emperor here. What's next? What am I going to do next? But that's very good creative energy. Two wands here coming out. And you got a major arcana here. The world card out here telling you, Yeah, Five of Cups. Five of Cups. I don't like that. I'm not really like looking at, yeah, what am I going to do next? I don't know. What is he going to do next? I like these. I have all different kinds of tarot cards.
If you figure it out, let me know.
I will. I don't know. They might figure it out right now. Yeah, you got the Ace of Wands. You're on to a next big creative project, that's coming out there. It's a lot of good energy. So whatever it's going to be, it's definitely going to be big. And you got the Eight of Pentacles here, so it'll definitely you'll be working, and it's going to bring you some good money.
Thank you, sis. Thank you.
It'll be good. I'm telling you, you're going to
be fun.
Yeah, right. Who thought this? Whatever happened?
This has been fun. Oh man.
Oh, it's crazy. But your wife she's really cool. I like her. I can pick up on her energy.
Thank you.
I can even picture her in my head. She's right. Do you have children?
No.
You will. Maybe.
Thank you.
I never tell anybody that. People say, "Oh, am I even gonna have a child?" I ain't telling you shit. I'm not saying that. All right, my friend, it has been so great. I'm definitely going to be posting. Did I post the link? No, I'm going to post a link to the book. I already have it. If you guys, tell them where to get it. Go ahead, shout yourself out. How do you follow your Twitter, social media?
Cyrus M. McQueen, Cyrus M. McQueen on Twitter. You can get the book on my website, cyrusmcqueen.com, or on Amazon. It debuted at #1 in new releases in several categories, including political humor. So it's #1 new release on Amazon. And your independent bookstores, call Barnes & Nobles, order it, get it.
Do you have it in the Huntington Village bookstore? What the hell is that bookstore called? In Huntington Village?
Where's that? In Queens?
No, Huntington Village is on Long Island. It's like down the. It's pretty much a couple blocks away from my house.
Okay, I'll call and see. Yeah.
God, what the hell's the name? The Book Review.
The Book Review. Okay.
They do have like independent authors that you can go in there and you can talk to them and get it there. I tell people about it constantly.
Okay, what's it again?
The Book Review.
The Book Review.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Huntington Village. Call them up and say you want it in there. Actually, as a matter of fact, I don't know if they're doing book signings. Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
But eventually they would. Like, I would make a big deal out of this. Okay. No, be very careful. Don't make a big deal out of it because, Huntington Village could be, you're right near Lloyd Harbor. That's, the Klan and all that. Just stay away. Just
walking out Long Island. Yeah, I know. It gets a little rocky out there. So, yeah. I know you've seen a lot more signs than I did.
Oh, yeah. No, I've been over there in that area. So I know what goes on in those people's heads. That's exactly where they are. So just stay out of there. Just stay away. But yeah, it's been really good talking to you. I'm so, Teresa says she said, please accept my friend requests. Teresa, she has a show called Tea Time with Teresa.
Teresa De Gaetano?
Huh?
Teresa De Gaetano?
No, Teresa Canastraci Farrell.
Okay, yes, okay.
She's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
She has a show also, so you might listen, make your rounds, do what you got to do, get it out there.
All right.
I even had Wally Collins on the show too. I got to catch up with Wally.
Wally's good people. I love that dude.
He wrote a good book too. He wrote a really good book too, and that's why I had him on. Kareth Foster came on also.
Yes, all good people. Oh, I'm glad that I'm part of this.
Yep, you are a part of it. I've had Emmy winners on here. I had one of my friends that he did a movie that got put on Stars. He won, I think it was the Black Stars Film Award. You were a
Nice.
good film. Yeah, just lots of good people. I'm really happy that you were a part of this, and I'm really happy that I got to give that message to you because I feel so much better now.
Thank you. Thank you. As do I. Much food for thought.
Yes. So I
Thank you
will.
so much, sis.
You're welcome. I will be in touch with you soon because I have a feeling this is going to be, we'll definitely keep in touch.
Thank you.
Going on. So thank you for coming on Creative Connections Open Mic. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And I will hopefully be back soon with another really awesome guest. And I will see you soon. Maybe I'll do In Bed with Comics next. Maybe I'll do a tower read. I don't know. We'll see. Good night, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.